Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, Chapter 2, and Text 6. And this morning we're very fortunate to have His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu, Miss Ghana, Philadelphia, to give the class. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept our humble obeisances.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. It's all yours.
Right. And if you'd like to unmute, you're welcome to unmute as we chant the Jaya Radha Madhava. Sometimes the people think that it's better because it's not exactly timed correctly through the Zoom, that better to make it muted, but things are not always timed correctly, and still it's okay. So this is we don't have many opportunities for kirtan, so this is one opportunity. I don't want to, for Sankirtan chanting together, or somewhat together. So if you'd like to unmute, that would be great.
Okay.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya
Jaya
Radha
Radha
Madhava
Madhava
Kunja
Kunja
Vihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari.
Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana.
Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana.
Jamunatira Vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Jamunatira Vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Vrajajana.
Ranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana Vrajajana
Prajajananjana
Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamunatira
Munatira Vanachara
Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamunatira
Munatira Vanachari
Vanachari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya
Jaya
Radha
Madhava
Madhava Kunja
Vihari
Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya
Jaya Radha
Madhava
Madhava
Kunda
Kunja Bihari.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajak Acharya Ashtottara Sata Shishya Maharaj Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai
Jai,
Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai
Jai,
Jai
ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai
Jai,
Jai
Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai
Jai,
Jai
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय
Jai
Jai,
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय
Jai,
Jai
वृंदावन धाम की जय
Jai,
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय
Jai,
Jai
गंगा माई की जय
Jai
Jai,
जमुना माई की जय
Jai
Jai,
तुलसी देवी की जय
Jai
Jai,
भक्ति देवी की जय
Jai
Jai,
समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय
Jai,
Jai
Gaur Premanande.
Hari
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 Bol.
Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol.
Gauranga.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Shami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, second chapter, verse number 6. Evam chachitte svata eva siddha atma priyorto bhagavan ananta tang nirvitodit niyatatart bhajeta sangsara hetu paramascha yatra evam svachitte svata eva siddha atma priyorto bhagavan ananta tam nirvito niyato bhajeta sangsara hetu paramascha yatra evam sachitte svata eva siddha atma priyortho bhagavan ananta tang nirvito niyatartho bhajeta sangsara hetu paramascha yatra. Please chant.
Evam svachite svata eva sudha siddha atma priyoto bhagavan ananta tam nivito niyatato bhajita samsara hitu paramascha yatra.
Evam svachite svata eva siddha Atma priyorto Bhagavan Ananta Tam nivritto niyatarto bhajita Samsara hetu paramascha yatra. Hare Krishna.
एवं स्वचित्ते स्वत एव सिद्ध आत्मा प्रियर्थो भगवान् अनन्तः तं निर्वतो नियतार्थो भजेत संसार हेतु परमश्च यत्र. हरे कृष्ण.
एवं स्वचित्ते स्वत एव सिद्ध आत्मा प्रियर्थो भगवान् अनन्त तम निर्वृत्तो नियतार्थो भजेत संसार हेतु परमो स च यत्र. हरे कृष्ण.
Yes. Evam, thus, svachitte, in one's own heart, svata, by his omnipotency, eva, certainly, siddha, fully represented, atma, the super soul, priya, very dear, artha, substance, bhagavan, the supreme personality of Godhead, ananta, the eternal, unlimited, tam, unto him, nirvitta, being detached from the world, niyata, permanent, artha, the supreme gain, bhajeta, one must worship, sangsara hetu, the cause of the conditioned state of existence. Uparama, cessation. Cha, certainly. Yatra, in which. Translation. Thus, being fixed, one must render service unto the Supersoul, situated in one's own heart, by his omnipotency. Because he is the almighty personality of Godhead, eternal and unlimited, he is the ultimate goal of life. And by worshiping him, one can end the cause of the conditioned state of existence. Purport. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 61st verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the all-pervading, omnipresent Supersoul. Therefore, one who is a yogi can worship only him because he is the substance and not illusion. Every living creature is engaging in the service of something else. A living being's constitutional position is to render service. But in the atmosphere of Maya or illusion, or the conditional state of existence, the conditioned soul seeks the service of illusion. A conditioned soul works in the service of his temporary body, bodily relatives like the wife and children, and the necessary paraphernalia for maintaining the body and bodily relations, such as the house, land, wealth, society, and country. But he does not know that all such renderings of service are totally illusory. As we have discussed many times before, this material world is itself an illusion, like a mirage in the desert. In the desert, there's an illusion of water, and the foolish animals become entrapped by such an illusion and run after water in the desert, although there is no water at all. But because there is no water in the desert, one does not conclude that there is no water at all. The intelligent person knows well that there is certainly water in the seas and oceans, but such vast reservoirs of water are far, far away from the desert. One should therefore search for water in the vicinity of seas and oceans and not in the desert. Every one of us is searching after real happiness in life, namely eternal life, eternal or unlimited knowledge, and unending blissful life. But foolish people who have no knowledge of the substance search after the reality of life, an illusion. This material body does not endure eternally. And everything in relation with this temporary body, such as the wife, children, society, and country, also changes along with the change of body. This is called samsara, or repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease. We would like to find a solution for all these problems of life, but we do not know the way. Herein, it is suggested that anyone who wants to make an end to these miseries of life, namely repetition of birth, death, disease, and old age, must take to this process of worshiping the Supreme Lord and not others, and as is also ultimately suggested in Bhagavad Gita 18:65. If we at all want to end the cause of our conditioned life, we must take to the worship of Lord Sri Krishna, who is present in everyone's heart by his natural affection for all living beings, who are actually the parts and parcels of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita 18:61. The baby in the lap of the mother is naturally attached to the mother, and the mother is attached to the child. But when the child grows up and becomes overwhelmed by circumstances, it gradually becomes detached from the mother, although the mother always expects some sort of service from the grown-up child and is equally affectionate towards her child, even though the child is forgetful. Similarly, because we are all part and parcel of the Lord is always affectionate to us. And he always tries to get us back home, back to Godhead. But we, the conditioned souls, do not care for him and run instead after the illusory bodily connections. We must therefore extricate ourselves from all illusory connections of the world and seek reunion with the Lord, trying to render service unto him because he is the ultimate truth. Actually, we are hankering after him as the child seeks the mother. And to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we need not go anywhere else because the Lord is within our hearts. This does not suggest, however, that we should not go to places of worship, namely the temples, churches, and mosques. Such holy places of worship are also occupied by the Lord because the Lord is omnipresent. For the common man, these holy places are centers of learning about the science of God. And when the temples are devoid of activities, the people in general become uninterested in such places, and consequently, the mass of people gradually become godless. And a godless civilization is the result. Such a hellish civilization artificially increases the conditions of life, and existence becomes intolerable for everyone. The foolish leaders of a godless civilization try to devise various plans to bring about peace and prosperity in the godless world under a patent trademark of materialism. And because such attempts are illusory only, the people elect incompetent, blind leaders, one after another, who are incapable of offering solutions. If we want at all to end this anomaly of a godless civilization, we must follow the principles of revealed scriptures like the Srimad Bhagavatam and follow the instructions of a person like Sri Shukadev Goswami, who has no attraction for material gain. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katabhayam Dadati Shapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'd like to get permission and blessings from all devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age and or advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna.
So we're at the beginning of the second chapter of this Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto. And do you remember what led up to this particular verse?
Mm,
Have you been attending the classes?
I had to miss few mornings because of service, Prabhu,
Okay, I won't
and catching
hold
up
you.
with
I won't,
Chandramali, so probably Prakshit can give a better answer.
or anybody on this call.
The chapter is definitely entitled the Lord and the Heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
That I remember. And it's
Sukadeva
talking
Swami,
about the super soul.
yeah, it talks about meditating on the super soul.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back. Can we go
And-
back to the first? Let's go back to the first five. We'll just read the first five verses, not the purports, the first five, just to refresh our memory.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe Mother Anasuya, could you read this text?
Sri Sukadev Goswami said, formerly, prior to the manifestation of the cosmos, Lord Brahma, by meditating on the Virat Roop, regained his lost consciousness by appeasing the Lord. Thus, he was able to rebuild the creation as it was before. The way of presentation of the Vedic sounds is so bewildering that it directs the intelligence of the people to meaningless things like the heavenly kingdoms. The conditioned souls hover in dreams of such heavenly, illusory pleasures, but actually they do not relish any tangible happiness in such places. For this reason, the enlightened person should endeavor only for the minimum necessities of life while in the world of names. He should be intelligently fixed and never endeavor for unwanted things, being competent to perceive practically that all such endeavors are merely hard labor for nothing. When there are ample earthly flats to lie on, what is the necessity of cots and beds? When one can use his own arms, what is the necessity of a pillow? When one can use the palms of his hands, what is the necessity of varieties of utensils? When there is ample covering or the skins of trees, what is the necessity of clothing? Are there no torn clothes lying on the common road? Do the trees which exist for maintaining others no longer give alms in charity? Do the rivers being dried up no longer supply water due to the thirst? Do the rivers being dried up no longer supply water to the thirsty? Are the caves of the mountains now closed? Or above all, does the Almighty Lord not protect the fully surrendered souls? Why then do the learned sages go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth?
And then you could reread the text 6 also.
Sure. Thus, being fixed, one must render service unto the super soul situated in one's own heart by his omnipotency, because he is the almighty personality of Godhead, eternal and unlimited. He is the ultimate goal of life, and by worshiping him, one can end the cause of the conditioned state of existence.
Okay, so we can click on this number 6, the purport. Yeah. So what did you gather? Can anyone summarize what was just said? Those first, what was the content of those first 5 verses up to this one? And you don't have to do it, Mother Anasuya. I see you're looking, but others, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guruji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila
Yeah,
Prabhupada.
Nitya Gopal Prabhu. Come on.
So I think here stress is given. We should rely and focus on the personality of Godhead. One of the ways, Lord is within a heart, and we can
Yeah.
perceive and worship the Lord within a heart. And the
Yeah.
other dependents are not useful or will not help. That's what I gathered from
Yeah.
some of these.
So do you remember what the first verse was about?
Virat Swarup.
What about it?
So Brahma concentrated on it, but that did not help.
Yeah, oh no, it did help. It did help.
That's what helped, actually.
That's what helped. Because the first, this is describing, Lord, it's a part of the description of Lord Brahma's creation.
Mhm.
And how many times does Lord Brahma create?
As many days as he has.
That's his daily activity, right?
Yeah.
So in the Bible, we read that in the beginning was the Word, and then there was, God created things. But here, Lord Brahma, not God, but the secondary creator, every morning he wakes up and he has a job to do, which is to create the whole cosmic manifestation as it was within the universe, as it was before. And in the at the end of his day, during his night, everything in the material world is annihilated, going into the body of Garbhodakshay Vishnu during the day, and night and day, unmanifest. So every day he wakes up and he's got a job to do. But because he also has, being the Lord of the mode of passion, has difficulty remembering just how to do things. I mean, we might have difficulty remembering, little small things, but of course, manifesting and creating the entire universe with all its varieties and intricacies, that's a big job. And so he's not quite up to it. So regularly he takes help. His consciousness isn't initially clear, but he takes help by meditating. In this case, it says he meditated on the Virat Rupa, which is the universal form of the Lord, which is not a transcendental form, but still it's associated with the Lord. We are encouraged also to see Lord Krishna in different aspects of the material world. Rasoham apsukanteya prabhashmi shashi shuryayo pranava sarva vedeshu shabdike paurusham nashu. You know this one? Rasoham. Krishna says that I am the taste of what? What is a taste of?
Water?
Water? No?
Ras.
I'm the taste. Yeah, the translation is water. Usually it's water, but Srila Prabhupada would sometimes give it as also the liquid.
The soma, just liquid.
I am the taste of the liquid. Rasa,
Liquid.
yeah, I'm the taste of the liquid. Rasoham apsu. Apsu can be water, apsu water, or the taste of the liquid, which can include many liquids, but especially water, especially when it's 90 degrees outside. That's that quenching ability and the taste of that's Krishna. Rasoham apsu kanteya prabhashmi shashi suryayo. I am the light of the sun, but not just the sun, also the moon. That's Krishna. Pranava sarva vedeshu. I'm the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. Shabdake, the sound in ether. Paurisham Rishu, and the ability in humans. Those are all. So this is a kind of appreciation of Lord Krishna in his Virat Rupa form. So by meditating in that way, in this case, Lord Brahma regained his intelligence by the grace of Lord Krishna to be able to there was no mistake from Nitya Gopal. It just wasn't yeah. So what was that? I forgot. Now I got distracted now. Forgot what I was saying. Anybody? No help from the devotees. Okay. So Brahma, he's remembering Krishna and carrying, and then one thing is, so this aspect of Lord Brahma's creation that's mentioned here, where he's meditating on Virat Rupa, what does that have to do with the Brahma Samhita?
Prabhu, isn't the Brahma Samhita sung to Lord Vishnu? Prayers of Lord Brahma? I'm
That's
thinking
Lord Vishnu in his form as Govinda, right?
Yeah.
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Yeah.
So, the story leading up to the prayers of Lord Brahma in Brahma Samhita is similar. It says that Lord Brahma, he was born there on the lotus, and then he didn't know what to do. He clawed down the lotus stem, and he heard the tapa, then he began to meditate. But in that case, he didn't meditate on the Virat Rupa. What did he? You know what he meditated upon in the Brahma Samhita?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, yes.
I think it
Hare
is
Krishna Prabhu.
two-handed Shyam Sundar form.
Not initially. So we Hare Krishna devotees usually chant starting from Chintamani Prakarashad Marshu Kalpavriksha. But there's 28 verses prior to that give the story of what's going on prior to when Lord Brahma starts praying to Govinda that's after Lord Govinda appears to him after he's meditating for many years, celestial years, and then Lord Govinda appears to him. He plays his flute, and the flute song of Krishna enters Brahma's. How many ear holes does Brahma have anyway?
8.
8 ear holes, 4 times 2, right?
Yeah.
4 heads times 2, and it comes out his mouths as the Gayatri. And then after that, subsequently after that happens, then Brahma begins his prayers to Govinda. So his prayers to Govinda are the culmination of his meditation. But his meditation in that case is directed to Goloka. In the beginning of the Brahma Samhita, he says, there's the verses, Sahasrapatram Kamalam Gokulakyam Mahatpadam Tat Karnikaram Kaddantam Tadanantang Sesambhavan Karnikaram Mahajantram. So he's meditating on the 1,000-petaled lotus of the spiritual world. This is Goloka, and he describes it in detail. So that's what he's meditating. So we have some kind of contrast here. In this case, he's meditating on Virat Rupa, and in that case, he was meditating on the Sahasrapatram Kamalam, the 1,000-petal lotus of Goloka. So is there some incompatibility here? What do you make of that? You follow my question? You follow my
absolutely.
question?
Yeah, I've actually thought that question too. And what I thought of is that, well, he woke up, he forgot the creation, how to go about it. And the Virat Rupa has the material planets. So when that was showed to him, then he made it possible for him to realize what planets he has to create. That's from the Virat Rupa, because he was going to do something material this time. Hare
Okay,
Krishna.
but it's not mentioned at all in the
No,
Brahma Samhita.
no.
So what's going on there?
As
Here we
far
got
as
it sounds like a completely different story. So which story are you going to accept? You followed my question. You might follow my question. What do you say? Dear Krishna Prabhu, Nitya Gopal Prabhu, come on.
Prabhuji, is it the initial understanding of Brahma is the Virat Swarup, and as he matured in his understanding, he worshipped Govinda 200 form?
It could be. Well, it could be.
I'm
Go ahead. Parikshit,
I'm thinking that the first time from the lotus, that was when he was born. That was when he was born. And this situation is when he's waking up from sleep.
Yeah, so there's many different creations, right? Many different creations. There's the creation, initial creation, the first creation,
Mhm,
when Lord Brahma makes his first appearance from the
mhm,
lotus flower coming from the navel of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And in every single day, as we mentioned,
mhm.
the he creates. So the
Yes.
creations, so apparently, I mean, it's not mentioned anywhere that I know, but apparently this, if you compare this with the Brahma Samhita, whether it's the first day or the second day or the initial day, they're not always the sequences and the meditations aren't always exactly the same. You follow?
Yeah, that's
That makes sense, right?
and
Which
that's
is
surprising.
that's an
Not many
interesting point. Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
even
not
though
many people believe.
he's going through a procedure, a process to remember, that process is not always in every creation is not exactly the same. So there's a variety, even in the activities of Lord Brahma's creation of the universe. So that's very interesting. I find
Mhm.
it interesting anyway. So then, and then, interestingly, even though in the initial verse of this chapter, yeah, could be, even though in the initial verse of this chapter, we hear that Lord Brahma meditated on the Virat Rupa. Then here, Shukadev Goswami is not recommending meditating on the Virat Rupa. He's recommending meditating on the super soul within the heart. Isn't that interesting? So Paramatma, of course, the source of the Virat Rupa is the Paramatma. But specifically, he's encouraging to worship, to render service to and worship the super soul within the heart, or Sarvatma, which is consistent with the uh, first chapter. If you remember back to the first chapter of the second canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, in culmination to Parikshit Maharaj's questions about what are you supposed to do, what is a person supposed to do, especially one is about to die.
Mhm.
And then Shukadev Goswami responds differently. He responds that, you know, in human society, he first glorifies Parikshit Maharaj, Bariyan, Eshate Prashna, Krito Loka Hitam Nipa, Atmavit Sammata Pumsam, Shrotavyadishu Japara, that your question is Bariyan. Bariyan means it's really a great question. That's a great question. That's a great question. Krito Loka Hitam, that's this question that you've just posed is beneficial for the whole world. Loka Hitam, Atmavit Sammata, and it's approved by, you know, we can ask all kinds of questions. What's that mark on your face? What is that mark on your face? Why do you wear those funny clothes? Okay, yeah, you can ask those questions. But this question is especially good because it's approved Atmavit by those people who are really wise. Shrotavyadishu yapara. And it's recommended. The answer to this question is recommended by those who are advanced and learned in spiritual science. So then at the end of that, there's several more verses. And then Shukadev Goswami says, Tasmat bharata sarvatma bhagavan ishvaro hari. Therefore, one, at the end of life, this is the conclusion, I think it's about text 5. At the end of life, one should meditate on sarvatma. You know what sarvatma is? Sarvatma.
Atma of
Sarvatma.
everyone.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the super
Atma
soul.
of everyone.
What's that? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, Atma of everyone. Sarva
Yeah.
Atma.
Now, sarvatma is another name for the super soul.
Yeah.
It's another name for the super soul. You
Mhm.
should, so then one should hear about, remember, and worship, chant about, remember, and worship the super soul. So that's what he says in chapter 1. Now, here again, he's saying it in chapter 2. The same point, to meditate on the super soul and surrender and render service to the super soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is everywhere, in every atom and between every atom and in everyone's heart. So you know that is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is very interesting that the Srimad Bhagavatam is considered the graduate study of spiritual life, isn't it?
Mhm.
So we find in Srimad Bhagavatam, you don't find things in Srimad Bhagavatam that are contradictory to Bhagavad Gita. They're consistent in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and also Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is an interesting point because nowadays, all over the world, and especially in India, there are many different philosophies that people claim to be incarnations of God or of Ram or of Chaitanya or of this one or that one. But if you examine their philosophies, you'll find it's completely different or partially different than the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So then the question will arise, how is it that Krishna has now changed his view? You follow?
Yeah, but see,
If
probably call them boogers anyway.
yes, if Krishna is giving knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita, that knowledge is consistent. It's not changeable. So and that's evident when he says, in the beginning, I spoke this science to the sun god Vivasvan, and he was there millions of years ago. So no, they didn't have to adjust it over the different millennia that it's being spoken. So the same knowledge he gave to the sun god Vivaswan, he gave to Arjuna, and Shukadev Goswami imparted to Parikshit Maharaj, and Lord Chaitanya also imparted to his followers, and Srila Prabhupada today, and the gurus following Srila Prabhupada also. So there's no need of change, of adjustments for that. So this Bhagavad Gita is describing the same point. And what is that verse of Bhagavad Gita 1861? Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtiti. The Supreme Lord, Ishvara, sarvabhutanam, is in everybody's heart. Bhuta means not just humans. So the super soul is in your heart, is in your father's heart, your mother's heart, your kid's heart, the cow's heart, the elephant's heart, the ant's heart, all bhutas. Ishvara hrideshe arjuna tishtiti. That's in the heart. Yeah. Brahmayam sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. And they're all who are struggling very hard and situated on this body, in their body, let's say like a machine made of material nature. So this is a very important point. We don't have to go far to find the super soul let's find God. He's there within everybody's heart, but and he's giving us direction, what to do, what not to do, what's going to be our beneficial thing. Srila Prabhupada later in the purport says, why is he there in the heart? Well, he didn't have to go there. He didn't have to go in your heart. Why is he in your heart? Because he
gives
likes
direction.
you. He likes you. He likes you.
Okay.
He said out of affection, right? He likes you.
Mm.
Therefore, he takes the trouble to come and be with you and be with, sometimes when there's a tragic event, say a death in the family, people have a dearth. They don't know what to say. The kind of the stereotypical say, so, oh, sorry for your loss, right? But that doesn't really convey much. But those who are expert in these things, they'll say, the main thing for people is just to be there, just to be with the person in their difficult times, to have them know that they're there to help you through the difficult time. Have you heard this before? It's not so much that that you're going to talk, oh, now they're better in a better place. Well, that okay, that may be true or not, but the thing is just so that you're with them, a person is with them and they can count on you. So this is the idea of the super soul. The super soul, being the best friend, is with each one of us through thick and thin, out of affection and real support. Super soul is there. Videshi Ardunitishtiti. So then the just prior verses, Shukadev Goswami was talking about, what's the need of, utensils when you can drink water, when you have cupped hands and you can drink water from a river. Of course, that was before the rivers were all polluted, isn't it? And it says, do the trees not give alms? How do trees give alms? Can you tell me that?
Only fruits.
Yeah, fruits. Yeah, fruits. Sometimes vegetable types. Yeah, it's fruit. Do the trees not get alms? Are there not any rejected clothes on the street you can wear, or the bark of a tree? They call the skin of a tree. He's talking. Shukadev Goswami is talking about renunciation of our material attachments, isn't it?
Yes.
Because he had said there in the previous chapter, there's what was that verse? Shotavyadini Rajendra, Nrinam Shanti Sahasrasha, Apashyatam Atmatatvam, Griheshu Grihamedinam. That in human society, there's so many different topics to discuss. And what's the business of a materialistic person? In the business of the materialistic person, at the daytime, their consciousness and energy is fully engaged in nidrya hriyatenaktam vyavayana chavavya. There's daytime is to make money, and you know what Prabhupada sometimes said, kutumba bharanenava, maintaining the family. He said making money and shopping. Does anybody like shopping here? No? Anyway, in the world, people like shopping.
Some people do.
Yeah. In the world, people like shopping. That's the business of the material activity, of shopping.
I'm one of the weird ones that don't like shopping, Prabhu.
Of course, we can shop for Krishna. That's another item. You did shop for Krishna when you went to get the deities in India. Yeah, but kutumba bharane. So shopping and getting money, and at nighttime sleeping and sexual indulgence. Those are the businesses of the materialist. But here, and to do that, one has to work hard, and there's 9-to-5 jobs and all kinds of things, and there's a lot of pressure from society, from family, to work very hard to amass various things for comfort of the body. So, do we in the ISKCON recommend developing great material wealth?
No.
You think why not? Why not?
Well, Lord Chaitanya said we have to simplify.
Is that Lord Chaitanya said, yeah? Can you quote anything about that?
Nadanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kame.
Yeah.
We repeat it in the Shikshastaka, so.
Nadanam, no wealth, no janam, no followers, no sundarim, no beautiful or attractive partners. I want your service. Of course, in Srila Prabhupada's first mission, the mission statement of ISKCON, he wrote one of those things of the 7 items in mission statement was to live a simple way of life. If you remember, simple living and high thinking. And that's not just for being renounced, it's because the more we are involved in accumulating and worrying about our material condition, the less time and energy one has for prosecuting spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada went on a talk show in I forget the guy's name. Alan Burke was his name. Alan Burke. Have you ever? Srila Prabhupada was an Alan Burke show. Alan Burke was a talk show host. I think it must have been in the 70s, early 70s. And he was famous for having guests on and then insulting them and pointing out their defects and like that. He was a little bit of a nasty guy. You know, people, people like that a little bit. There's a certain group of people who, when other people get insulted or embarrassed, they get a rush out of that. But so Alan Burke was one of those original, they call them shock jocks, I think, that did that. So Srila Prabhupada was invited on his show. So he was somehow Alan Burke was a little bit respectful. So he asked, but he said, "Why are you Hare Krishnas against sex life?" He said he wanted to put Srila Prabhupada on the spot. So Srila Prabhupada's answer was, no, we're not against sex life, but we are encouraging sex life within marriage. And in fact, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dharma viruddha bhusheshu kamosmi bharatashava. In fact, I am sex life, not contrary to religious principles. Then Alan Burke said, well, what's the matter? What's wrong with having all these, having sex here and there, just recreationally? And Prabhupada's answer was very good. He said, of course. He said, running here and there, trying to find different sex partners, you'll spend all your time and energy in doing that, and you'll have no time for understanding God. And Alan Burke was taken aback by that answer. He stepped back and said, I'm sure Alan Burke was not a person who was careful about his romantic involvements, but he stopped and he said, that's right. You're right. That's true. Because the material attachments, of course, the strongest material attachment is that attachment of man and woman. Going beyond it and trying to find more and more, it's a phantasmagoria. It will never satisfy one. And the more you run after it, like the dog here in the desert, the more we become exhausted. And then ultimately you lose the point of human life. Chanakya Pandit was famous for saying many different sayings, but there was one saying that Srila Prabhupada often quoted. You might know it. Ayushak kshane kopi nalabhya nalabhya swarna kotibi. You know that one? Have you heard that one? Very nice. Srila Prabhupada, in fact, in talking about the Gurukul, he encouraged these sayings by Chanakya Pandit to be taught in this Gurukula. So this is one. Ayushak kshane kopi nalabhya sarvakotibi. Ayusha means, Ayush means life. Kshana means a moment. Eko, one moment. You can add one moment of your life, add one moment to your life. Na ayusha kshineko na labhya sarvarna kotibi. Whether, even if you have, swarna means gold, kotibi, you have millions of dollars of gold, you can't add one moment of life to your life. Therefore, how valuable is your time? There are many valuable things, but the most valuable thing you have is your time. So, therefore, the acharyas recommend to use your time for the most valuable, get the most valuable gain, which is to become Krishna conscious, to get out of the cycle of conditioned life of repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. And that's what we're doing here in this Srimad Bhagavatam class. Just like Lord Brahma, he had to be reminded of his goal, his purpose when he woke up in the morning, isn't it? Similarly, we, even though we have some idea, we can't take that with us, but regularly we need to be reminded of the purpose of our life, just like Lord Brahma was so much more intelligent than we are. So what to speak of ourselves, how much we have to be reminded of what our real goal of life is, because we forget. We're under the influence of material energy. So the verse is there. Krishna bhuliya jeev bhogavancha kare pashite mayatare japatiya dhare. We tend to forget Krishna. Krishna bhuliya means forgetting Krishna, jeev, the living entity forgetting Krishna. Bhogavancha kare. And why do we forget Krishna? Bhog means happiness, material happiness. Vancha kare. Because we're looking for some kind of material happiness outside of Krishna. Krishna bhuliya jeev bhoga vancha kare pashate mayatare japati radare. And as soon as that happens, as soon as we're forgetting Krishna, what happens? Maya comes and says, "Come on." She embraces us and said, "Come on with me." Yes. So we're very fortunate that we have this system within ISKCON given to us by Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas of having a Krishna conscious sandwich. Have you heard this before about the sandwich? The Krishna conscious sandwich?
Yes, Prabhu. Morning program, go out service, evening Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. So there's that. Yeah. That keeps us to remember that our purpose in life is not just for gratifying the senses, but for becoming free from birth and death. If we have this opportunity, it's not going to be there forever. So we don't want to be like that dog that runs out into the desert and uses all of his time and energy searching for those things. But the more we can use our time and energy for realizing and serving Krishna, that'll be good. Oh, wow. It's already late. Oh, wow. I didn't see.
Yeah, but your lecture, thank you very much anyway for so much information, and it's already interactive. So devotees, if you have any other questions, last questions that you want to ask, you can do so now by unmuting yourself. We're at the top of the hour now, but you can if you feel
Hare
really
Krishna,
inclined to
Prabhu.
do it.
Please accept my humble obeisance, so
Yeah.
Prabhupada. Your classes are always so interactive and mind captivating, Prabhu, that we don't even watch the time. And I want to thank you for that. It just goes, it catches our attention, our mind, it's like our mind has been arrested and like everything just stops. It's just the class and we just get so engrossed and we just lose track of time. And I think that's the beauty of your classes, Prabhu. And I really want to thank you for that. I really, really do.
Krishna's kind to me a little bit. You are kind to me, and the devotees are kind to me.
It's
I actually wrote. I had a bunch of other stuff to say, but I didn't get around to saying it there because the point of focusing on Krishna is to engage in not only to worship but engage in the service of the Super Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and of course, the external representation of the Super Soul is no, the external representation of the Super Soul is
external the Guru.
Yeah, the spiritual master. The spiritual master
Yeah.
says, serve the spiritual master is worshiping and the same as worshiping and remembering the super soul. Super soul. And there's so many in this material world. We all want to be number one. That's our reason we're coming here. In USA particularly. We want to think we're number one, isn't it? We generally don't want to be a servants because service is considered low. But really, that's our step towards perfection or liberation if we can learn to put Krishna's desires and the spiritual master's desires before our own desires and try to serve them, that's wonderful. And that's all encapsulated by the simple process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
Mm.
Krishna is pleased. The spiritual master is pleased when we chant Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. And particularly pleased if we chant it purely, not for any of our own, not for aggrandizement or for some material gain, but just for his Krishna's pleasure, the spiritual master's pleasure. There's a book by Jayadvaita Swami. He recently printed a book. Some people say it's a little bit controversial. It's called Srila Prabhupada Standards, Kirtan Standards. And anyway, you might take a look at it. Some people say it's controversial. Most of it, I think, is at least 90% of it is directly quotes from Srila Prabhupada, but it focuses on chanting the way we've been instructed by Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes we get off a little bit. Does it happen? Yeah, it does. We get off a little bit. So the chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is our main thing. It's called the Hare Krishna movement. So take a look at that book. I'm not saying that everything is easily understood or easily followed, but it's something to consider anyway. I'd recommend it for those who.
What's the title of the book, Prabhu?
Srila Prabhupada's Kirtan Standards.
Oh, okay.
Madhupati in Central Jersey is the course of him because he's a Jayadvaita Swami disciple.
Exactly, yeah.
It would be good.
It
would be good. It would be good to have if you actually read it, because there are many things it says that are different than what we often do in Kirtan, by the way. You'll see. So it'd be good to have a discussion about that sometime, to kind of look at it and see how things might we address things within the Hare Krishna. So one of his themes is that there's a lot of things within in ISKCON nowadays, and particularly in the Kirtan, that are not consistent with the way that Srila Prabhupada instructed us to do things. So at least giving that a consideration is important.
Srila Prabhupada's Kirtan Standard. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. We'll contact Madhupati about that. We'll see.
And I
Thank you.
think, Prabhu, the point you made is, I think as time passes by, there are many, some things that your Prabhupada gave us has been either watered down, minimized, or even forgotten, and then it just becomes a whole new creation. I've noticed that we got to go back to the basics. Something, Prabhu, I have
just like
a
Lord
question.
Brahma, he has to go back. He has to start off right. Start off right. Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhu, I have a question, and because the external representation of the super soul is a spiritual master, does that mean, Prabhu, that when the desire of the person with the super soul present in the heart is strong, that they want a spiritual master, that the super soul will reveal, lack of a quote unquote, reveal to the devotee, okay, this is who you are attracted to a guru? Is that how it works, Prabhu?
Yes.
Okay.
By the mercy of Krishna, you get the spiritual master, and by the mercy of the spiritual master, you get Krishna. So also,
it all depends on how a desire.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if our desire is, a little bit off, we might get a spiritual teacher that's a little bit off. If our desire really is to aggrandize ourselves, then we might get a spiritual teacher who's, gives us that information how to do that. So, but if we have a good amount of sincere desire, then Krishna will make arrangements for us to come in contact with a pure representative of him.
Thank you very much. So
Hare
much
Krishna.
to digest from this lecture. Thank you very much. Very, very, very much. Devotees, so thank you also for coming and hearing. Vanchakalpatarubhascha
Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripasindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. Behold.
Thank you so much,
Very
Lou, for a
well.
wonderful class.
Hare Krishna. Jai. God Shri Prabhupada.